Hello everyone, my name is Tiffany Carey and I will be presenting my article presentation. So, my APA citation style is M, E, and Handoko, M.N.S. 2015. An analysis of students' perceptions toward the use of positive reinforcements in the English classroom. The case of students of SMP Christian Sata Wakana, in parentheses, SMP Lab UKSW, close parentheses, Salatiga, and then the website URL. Here is that. So the research question. The research question in this article was, from a student's perspective, does the use of positive reinforcement in the classroom influence the student's motivation, in parentheses, learning, teaching process, close parentheses, or not? Here is the slide. So some background information. This will be a quote from the text, and I'll carry on. So the classroom management is a skill set that a teacher needs to plan, implement, and maintain a learning environment in which students learn decision-making skills needed to be responsible for their own learning and conduct. In the teaching learning process, classroom management is often called classroom discipline. Classroom management is also an important part in teaching learning process because it has an effect to shape the student's behavior. Positive reinforcement is the presentation of a reward immediately following a desired behavior, intended to make that behavior more likely to occur in the future. Reward, which has almost the same purpose with positive reinforcement, has a meaning as something that is given to return for doing something else. Also stated that positive reinforcement is a positive reward which flows naturally. Both definitions have the same goal and purpose, to increase student motivation. And with that being said, this study was conducted with 80 different students at this school. And with this study, these students were given a questionnaire. This questionnaire was catered to their language. And these students were also more familiar with the English language so that they were able to understand both their native and the foreign language. And that's a key factor to this. So this was a selected school that was sought out, I believe she said 2 months of searching. With this study, it is significant because it reinforces the presumptions that teachers have that positive reinforcement actually impacts the students. And this is important because specifically in Indonesia's schools, the MOS, which stands for Masa Orientasi Siswa, I might have pronounced that wrong. However, in this government, that is the government of Indonesia, this government allows negative reinforcement in the school systems. And what that means is, for example, if I am, let's say Jimmy forgot to do his homework. So a negative reinforcement would be allowing Jimmy to come in front of the classroom and in front of everyone negatively reinforcing him of his actions, which is ultimately embarrassing him, possibly bringing down his confidence. That could be very detrimental to his education. And so that is what negative reinforcement is. And the MOS government allows this type of reinforcement in their school systems and education systems. So this study is significant because in this school system, this is common to see positive and negative reinforcement. So for this study, the teacher was solely focusing on, if we're just focusing on positive reinforcement, how will that impact the students, especially that they have been intertwined with negative reinforcement. With that being said, the methods being used in this study. So we had qualitative studies. So in this was interviews. This was open-ended surveys that allowed students to give in-depth questions. Sorry, you could not see my slides. Then you also have quantitative methods being used. So that was structured surveys, questionnaires. So the structured surveys were specific questions to notice trends that was all going on in the classroom. These trends could possibly be their attitudes, not attitudes, but I guess their moods of the day and how they felt at the beginning of the day. And after they had that positive reinforcement, was their mood possibly changed or did it stay the same? You had also questionnaires, and that would result in knowing the frequencies in students' responses. So maybe on Mondays and Tuesdays, you may notice that the students had a more higher positive attitude that day versus on Fridays. Maybe they're more negative, maybe they're ready to get the day done, they're ready for the weekend to start. So many different surveys, interviews were intended to see the perception of the student and to get a real answer and response, and not just, oh, let me finish this survey really quickly. The data collected methods. Here is the slide. And this was to collect the data. To collect the data of this study, a questionnaire was used for the study. So as I was mentioning earlier, the Indonesian language was chosen to understand better about the question of the questionnaire. The questionnaires contained 10 close-ended questions. Close-ended questions were chosen because they help students not to spend too much time filling out the questionnaires. The statistical product and service solution, SPPS, was used to analyze the data from the questionnaires. And these are both quotes from the article. So the results, there were many great results here. So from the students' perspective, and again, that's important to note because this is the results from the students, the opinions from the students. But there was increase on class time, there was increase on attendance, and there was increase on attendance. So with that being said, that meant on class, they started to come on class on time. There was also an increase on the students coming to school even when they were sick or things weren't the best at home. There was also an increase on using class time more efficiently and the class time having a faster pace than normal. Another positive impact was the grades. Students' motivation increased because of the positive reinforcement. And because of the positive reinforcement, that allowed their motivation to grow. Because the motivation growing, their grade increased and they produced better work. Results continued. So vocally praising a student impacted the student's confidence. So when we are verbally out loud in front of other students saying, hey, great job, or well done, that's helping the student motivate themselves to do more work. Also, it was noted that learning your student is important. Some students showed that verbally praising the student was good if they were more of an extrovert. But if they possibly were an introvert, then maybe going up to the student in private and saying, great job. Students' perceptions, even though they got it wrong in the past, they will keep on answering the teacher's questions in the future, end quote. Many students showed that they wanted to continue to try because when they tried, they still got positive reinforcements. So that motivated them more to continue to do the work. Overall, almost all the students had more of a positive impact to the positive reinforcements. It showed again in their grades, in their attendance, in everything that they did. And this is an important study because the slide, why is this important? And this is important because the use of positive reinforcement seems to be disappearing from our society. And as the author noted, that is a problem, especially for teachers who have a desire to be an amazing teacher. So this is also an important study because this allows teachers to know, again, that what we think about positive reinforcement is true, that this impacts the students in a positive way, and the students recognize what we are doing. The last important thing about this is, if students are telling us this is working, then we need to do it. We always complain that students never respond back in class and they're zombies, they're used to writing, answering only when they're told. But no, here we have students telling us this is working, so then we need to make sure we're continuing to do that.